Hey everyone, welcome to basically I'm gonna call this the second part of my Magic Find Torino Shot Deadeye experience for Path of Exile 3.22, Trials of the Ancestor. Basically, we spent the last, I'd say, week or so, probably since the last time we talked about this build, just getting map it blasting, doing different currency strategies, investing into the build, figuring out best ways to do investment, and this is where I'm at. I'm kind of at a point where the next upgrades are going to be incredibly expensive. We're talking like Headhunter, Mage Blood, things like that. And I wanted to get a video out before we do that because we're getting extremely close to having enough currency to really start blasting away. You'll see in the background we just have her blasting through a T16 cemetery map with altars, juice, delirium, reaches. You know, all the good stuff that you'll have. As I mentioned in the first video, things I love about Magic Find is balancing out quant rarity on gear versus being able to actually do the map. It's kind of the reason I find POBs not super effective for Magic Find builds, because basically we're clicking a bunch of altars, we're balancing out doing the map, not doing an X amount of damage or X effective health pool. But anyways, here's the build. I'm going to go over full details. We'll include a POB just for the skill tree and gear that I'm wearing and the abilities. But other than that, let's just jump in and start talking about the character, because I'm at a point where I really want to talk about this character. It's been super fun to play. I just can clear a whole map in like, minutes. So let's jump into that. Alright, so here is the character, level 95 Deadeye, Ancestor League. I'll go retweet the gear individually. I'm not going to talk about prices because I think I built most of the gear like a week ago, and there's no point in me looking at prices now and going back over them, as everything basically changes every single day. So you can figure that out on your own. As far as character goes, super smooth. Before we jump into this gear overview and passive tree overview, if you click the like, subscribe button, it means a ton to me. I'll make sure to have a POB link below. That was the biggest question from the first part of the video. Quick note on that, I didn't post a POB because I thought this was like a pretty well-known build. It's one of those popular Magic Find builds for sure. I didn't think it was super ready. It wasn't blasting T16 maps, it was just kind of getting through them. Now I feel much more comfortable sharing exactly what we have. Last thing I want to talk about the POB, if you're just here for that, is I don't do any of the configuration on the POB for this type of build. This build's goal is not to have X amount of damage and Y amount of effective hit pool. The goal is 100% to be able to clear T16 map. I have 6 portals. That's the goal. So this is not a leveling character. This is not a tanky all-around beast character. This is a character with a goal and a purpose, and that's to get all the quantity, all the items, basically as efficiently as possible, really, because we're just balancing out quant and rarity with being able to do the map, and that's what this character can do now. So let's talk about the character. I'll talk about the gear quickly. So high desire. Let's talk about the Magic Find gear first. 2 Venter's Gambles. These are pretty bad Venters, actually. The only thing I made sure is they had 10% quant, some sort of increased rarity, and a positive elemental res. These are probably like the next like major upgrades outside of like a Headhunter or Mage Blood. So got those. Goldworm boots. These are perfectly rolled. The only thing you'd want to do beyond this is get a corruption that has like increased movement speed, but those are pretty expensive. Goldworm boots only have 10% move speed, which is pretty slow. It's definitely noticeable on maps. So that we have a Shaper Influenced Amulet. Shaper Influenced Amulets can roll increased quantity. I got pretty lucky with this. I was basically just spamming essences at it. That's why it has increased evasion rating. Eventually we hit this, had an open prefix, got non-channeling. This is a pretty actually crazy amulet with the stats it has on it. Because we got like a good elemental res, a good strength. Strength is hard to get on this build. You need 155. We have 157. Nothing I can do there. The last Magic Find piece is the helmet. The cheap version of this build uses a Vol's Vision, basically, so you have a ton of life regen, but you can't use corrupted items is the downside. This is like the upgrade version. We have a double T1 rarity roll. You can see T1 prefix rarity, T1 suffix rarity, and then the crafted increased rarity of items dropped by rare unique enemies. This is pretty insane. I bought this incredibly cheap off of trade site. It didn't have the crafted suffix. That was the only thing it was missing. It has life regen, which is super important. You get Cobe's Spirit to work. So this was an insane helmet. I super don't recommend trying to find this one. It's going to be incredibly expensive. Basically, I got super lucky. So, Comb Spirit. This is how we get Berserk on the build. Before you have enough life regen, you probably need to use Vol's Vision. We have enough life regen where we can just barely sustain having Berserk up like on cooldown, so we are using that. This has the corruption of cursed enemies elemental weakness on hit, which like way increases the DPS of the build, but this is a pretty expensive upgrade. I have no idea what the price is currently. Bisco's Leash, this is the next upgrade actually. This is going to be a Headhunter. Basically we need to get a Headhunter so we can start clearing some of the more difficult content more effectively. I jumped into T16 Crimson like Enraged Strongbox Beyond farming and had some issues just clearing the map, so that's the sign to like step back down, go forward. Some of them will do, some of them won't. A Headhunter would certainly fix this problem, so that's our next goal. This quiver is pretty bad. The only thing good about it, it has bonus attack, fire, additional arrow. It has all the right mods, they're just not rolled super well. Like we want like T1 life, T1 damage blows, and T1 crit multi. So basically I need to recraft this again, which is really annoying. I've put like way too much into trying to craft this quiver. I probably could have just bought the right one by now, so might just do that instead. And then my bow, I bought the base, crafted it myself, ended up pretty good. I definitely spent less crafting this than I would if I just paid for it. It has like 1200 elemental DPS, and that's kind of what I was looking for. I'd like to get like the 1300, but to that I think you need like double T1 and essence crafted added elemental damage. Right now we have T2 essence craft T1. We'd have to get like a different suffix than dexterity, so not perfect but very, very good. So that is the gear. Only thing to talk about is the passive tree. I think this is a pretty standard bow build. We have a bunch of tattoos you'll see. Basically things that just fix problems. So like resistances, rarity, super nice. Life regen, again, try to replace Vol's vision. We have Ramako Makanga for extra projectile. Well, that's super good. Inspired learning. Basically this will get replaced when we go to Headhunter. We have the large passive Thread of Hope. Basically you can grab all the extra proj tattoos. You get a bunch of nice nodes. You save a ton of like travel points. I don't know the price of this, but it was pretty expensive. This 8 passive cluster jewel is super nice. Feed the Fury, Fuel the Fight, Martial Prowess, ton of leech. This basically keeps you alive. Medium clusters, I have one crit cluster and then one projectile damage cluster, both super good. I haven't done the math, but they're super close on like which one actually does more damage. Corrupted Blood Jewel, pretty bad, should be replaced. We have a Watcher's Eye. So this build does run Period of Elements, and it's super difficult to get chaos resistance on this build. I know we're like okay with dying, but like having negative 50 chaos resistance means you are dying to literally everything. So this gets us plus 48 chaos resistance, and then crit multi, we are running anger. This ends up being like a really nice Watcher's Eye for us. One thing I do differently than most other builds, I actually run Impossible Escape with Conduit. So Conduit is this node right here. Impossible Escape allows you to connect nodes that are unconnected. So the cool thing here is like there's a ton of nice things that are connected to Conduit. Probably one of my favorite Impossible Escapes in the game, and it's like relatively cheap usually. So we get Hired Killer, which is pretty nice, keeps us alive. Path of the Hunter, this build has accuracy problems that you need to solve. So we get some accuracy here, proj damage, dexterity, spell suppression, evasion here, all super nice. And then the real nice one is this crit multi crit chance node. So the other thing people do is put like a massive ring here, and then you can get like the reservation efficiency, you can get this node, it goes all the way up to here. It's pretty crazy. You get a lot of things with the massive ring. It's much more expensive though. Impossible Escape does a lot of cool things as well. I know it looks weird because it's like escaping just down here, but you save all these travel nodes and it's super nice. So definitely look into that. The other thing is if we didn't have a managed forward setup, Overcharge is actually a really good way to get Power Frenzy charges on kill as well. So there, that is the passive tree. As I said, I'll put the POB down below. POB is not configured. It's just going to be for the passive tree, gear, and skill setup. I guess I didn't talk about the skill setup. So skill setup, pretty standard. Tornado shot, elemental damage, inspiration, chain, Mirage Archer, Trinity. I'm using chain instead of GMP. We have enough projectiles from on the tree, the tattoo, extra proj from the quiver. I don't need GMP. It's just a less multiplier at this point. It looks cooler, but I don't think it actually doesn't really effectively do anything for me. Chain ends up being like way more effective at clearing. I run a 6-link Mana Forge setup with Frenzy, Power Charge, Mana Forged Calling. That's kind of the normal. Then I throw in Inspiration and Ensnaring Arrow. Basically, this makes life just a lot easier for me. I'm running a 3-linked Enlighten setup with Anger, Purity of Elements, Petrified Blood. We run Petrified Blood so we can have Divination distillate up. Basically, if I drop my life here, the only way I can go back up above half life with Petrified Blood is with a Life Flask. During a map, I'm actually attacking so quickly that you won't notice, but this is how we get Divination Distillate to stay up longer, so we can actually use it. So that's why I use Petrified Blood, if anybody was ever wondering why most Magic Find builds use Petrified Blood. Other than that, so we have Precision and linked to Arrogance with Vitality, so we have 2 abilities reserving life. Since we're using Petrified Blood anyways, it doesn't really matter. Haste, I'm just using for Vol Haste, I press it when it's up. And then we have Steel Skin, Berserk, and Flame Dash, all linked to Enhance. I'm not sure about Enhance, I just added it in because I thought it was kind of cool. But Steel Skin is like our only defense flare, so on left click, and then Berserk, I just click it every time it's up. This build actually has a bunch of buttons to click, which is kind of annoying. So I have to click Berserk, I have to click Haste when it's up. I guess that's 2 abilities. Flame Dash occasionally, Steel Skin left click, and then Arch Tornado Shot. So while you see Berserk 4 times here, I just make sure I'm always smashing my buttons, and then Vol Haste when it's up. Alright, I've rambled on long enough about this build. Again, POB down below. If you've liked this content, make sure to click like, subscribe. Leave a comment down below. I'm going to be jumping into actual currency strategies after this. We have this build's basically done. I'm going to throw a Headhunter in pretty quickly here. Build's basically done. I'm going to jump into currency strategies. Basically, I've been doing Legion, Breach. I did Crimson Temple for a little bit, got 1 Apothecary. Pretty cool. But yeah, we're going to jump into strategies, go through them all basically on this build, because these are all the mapping strategies, and then I farmed up enough for a Sanctum runner too, so we're going to do a video on how to run Sanctum. So, because Sanctum's been super profitable as well, and it's about as rewarding as how much you're willing to invest into it. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.